Let me just share with you three thoughts about the event today. Honorable Minister for Infrastructure, Transport, Disaster Management and Meteorological Services, and distinguished officials, members of the press. You all know that if we look at the big picture, the European Union is certainly the largest, most committed continent in the world engaged in the fight against climate change. We have a new leadership in the European Union with a new European Commission taking office and serving for the next 5 years. The top priority of the European Union is the Green Deal. It's a combination of a very ambitious goal to reach carbon neutrality by 2050, to develop a strategy on biodiversity, to disseminate clean technology, and also to work on the circular economy. So you know, when we speak about climate change and the natural disasters it brings, the European Union does its share. We have the single largest and most ambitious agenda in the world when it comes to these topics. The second thing is that, of course, we are very committed at the global level, but we are equally engaged in the region. In the region we have many programs, including here in Fiji, which focus on climate resilience, disaster preparedness, humanitarian assistance, because we recognize that the Pacific is certainly one of the regions in the world which is facing the utmost threat when it comes to natural disasters. I'm not a newcomer to Fiji. I came 2 years ago. Of course, compared to a lifetime spent in this country, it's not much. But in the course of 2 years, 2 years and a half, I have myself personally witnessed 5 cyclones. Not as destructive as Winston, but since I arrived, I saw Gita, I saw Josie, I saw Kenny, I saw Sarai, and Tino. And I can tell you, they are not my friends. I don't like these cyclones. Nobody likes these cyclones. So that's my last, third and last point. I am amazed with the progress made by Fiji in preparedness to natural disasters. The 5 infamous cyclones I've just named have not resulted in as many casualties and destruction as before. That shows in itself the progress made by Fiji in terms of stepping up its disaster preparedness and response. And that's the reason why this morning I will be extremely proud and happy to hand over this disaster preparedness kit as a small token of appreciation and as a contribution from the European Union to the efforts put forward by Fiji, the region and the world in response and in preparing for the next natural disasters. Because make no mistake, it has happened in the past, it will happen in the future, but in the past, as at present and in the future, the European Union will stand with you, shoulder to shoulder, to face the calamities provoked by climate change. I thank you very much.
But I think for all of us, we're very glad to have you, and in particular, we're very glad to accept on behalf of the ministry and on behalf of the people of Fiji the gift that you have brought with you this morning. And we all know that Fiji has had an enduring relationship with the European Union over many, many years, especially in all facets of life that we have. There are a lot of things that we have in Fiji that we hold, that we are very thankful to Europe and for the European Union and for the various governments that make up Europe and the assistance that they have provided in the field of national disaster management and all other fields that we've had. European Union has also been assisting our NDMO in our capacity as disaster management office for Fiji. And we think back to some of the projects that we've had, such as the Tukurati village relocation project, and also the upgrading of our National Emergency Operations Center, together with the divisional and district emergency operations centers. And all of these have shown the commitment of Europe and the commitment of the European Union in supporting the Pacific Island nations in adapting to climate change and building resilience. And as you have said, all over the world knows about the commitment of the European Union to the impacts of climate change, the need for sustainability, the need for sustainable development, and the need for all countries in the world to be able to work together to mitigate against the impacts of these major changes that are happening around the world. And all of us know that the Pacific is one of the most vulnerable nations. Fiji is one amongst, if I'm not mistaken, I read somewhere that it was the 10th, is it the 10th? One of the 10th most vulnerable nations in the world. And the impacts of climate change are things that are going to continue to impact on us. And it adds this issue of climate change adds new dimensions to the need for mitigation, for preparedness, for response, and recovery towards the disasters. And as you have eloquently pointed out, in the 2.5 years that you've been here, initially as ambassador for the government of France, and now for the European Union, you've been witness to some of these cyclones that we've had, the 5 that we have. We will continue to face extreme weather patterns, more climate-induced disasters, more floods, more intense cyclones. So this has seen a shift over the past few years in NDMO and in Fiji, moving away from the idea of managing crises when they occur, but more focused now on a more preventive approach, with the question of how do we reduce the impact of risk itself. And that has been seen in the development of our, this disaster risk reduction project, which is going to be a major exercise for us in Fiji. We have 122 action items in this disaster risk reduction process. And it talks about putting in place measures now so that when the disasters do happen, we reduce the risk that is faced by our people. That is going to be continually to be the focus that we have. So there's a change in paradigm, there's a change in thinking from allocating resources just for managing the disaster when it happens, and having programs that try to reduce the risk before the problem happens. And we know that we can never really fully control the impact of a disaster on us, on our country, on our people, on our infrastructure, but we can be as prepared as possible. So we can have a high level of preparedness so that we can have a rapid recovery from the losses and make sure that we have sustainable growth into the future. So, Your Excellency, on behalf of the government of Fiji, the people of Fiji, we accept and we appreciate the 50 emergency kits that are being donated today that will assist NDMO in coordinating humanitarian aid to the communities that have been impacted by disasters. And for all of our communities, it's also important to build their resiliency towards natural disasters, increasing their capacities to cope and prepare well in minimizing the vulnerabilities that they face every year. There's 3 points that are outlined here in these points that are made for me is that in the field of disaster management, all stakeholders must work together in order to achieve the following. We want to make sure that lives are saved. We want to make sure that we can alleviate suffering wherever happens, the way it is likely to happen, and we can have durable recovery. So on behalf of all of us, thank you very much. Thank you for your generosity. We look forward to continue to working in partnership. And know that you're a very, very busy person. If I'm not mistaken, you have 13 countries to cover all over the Pacific. So I can see you'll be zooming all around the Pacific. But nevertheless, we're thankful that you're here. We in the government of Fiji and the NDMO look forward to working further with the European Union, especially as we look to implement the action items that are in our disaster risk reduction policy. So with those few words, thank you and look forward to future collaborations with our other.